Hello, all of my fellow entrepreneurs. This is For Extraordinaire, and I actually had something surprising because the creators behind Victoria 3 have decided to show off some of their art, which I am gladly just taking a stab at, giving some of my brief opinions on. And these are a bit more subjective because everyone has different views on art and what they consider art. But I've just been looking through some of these art pieces, and they look pretty good. Though the terrain, I'm a bit more divided on that, but I think we should still just jump right into it. I wanted to show you guys this art. I'll be linking it as always, putting a link to this brochure or whatever they call it, the manifest. I don't know. I'll be putting a link to this in the description. So if you want to check out the art yourself, take a little look at it in closer detail. I can't exactly do that too much. I don't want to waste too much time, but if you guys want to do that, I'll leave a link in the description. But really loving this art so far. I've taken a look at it just before I'm starting the video, but they are really improving upon the art direction from Victoria 2. They're taking a much more realistic approach, I think, with some of the designs, and also they are using a lot softer colors, I think. Definitely not a rigid palettes, at least they're not using too much of a rigid palette compared to Victoria 3. I mean, Victoria 3. This is Victoria 3. Victoria 2 with some of their colors, but it's very fantastical with their art direction. You can see here there's a little. I think this is like the one of the loading screens here, but you can see there's different events. There's like some Confederate Dixie soldier meeting with some Vietnamese man. There's Victoria. There's some kind of Thai king. There's some sub-Saharan royalty, I think. There's a big city in the background. Looks like Paris. There is some kind of artisan or newspaper man. There's a Sikh man, and then there's some terrain back here. I don't know what this is. I think it's Yosemite, and then this might be Mont Blanc in the background. Then there's some kind of southern Chinese vessel, and then I don't know if this is a sakura tree, but it might be. And there's some kind of North African architecture, but all in all, doing a fantastic job blending all these different cultures and elements together. Just what I want to see. And now we have a bit more of a historical representation. I think this is either Nat Turner's rebellion in 1831 or some kind of depiction of the Civil War, some freeing of the slaves, though. Since there is a black armed soldier, I'm going to guess, and I don't think these are. This looks like an official uniform. This might be a Union soldier, but it looks like, I don't know. The burning in the background kind of gives me the idea of that it's Harper's Ferry, but I'm not too sure on the historical events. They're a bit rough on that, but definitely some kind of emancipation, definitely taking place, I think, either in the U.S. or possibly the Caribbean. It could be Toussaint but I'm not sure on that one. If you guys have any idea, let me know. But we also have more pictures here. This was shown in the Wikinomics brochure, and have a little funny excerpt here, a man with his daughter trying on a little top hat there, and then you have some more of the nobility strolling throughout the streets. And now we have a look at the map for the game itself, and this is a map that I've kind of been a bit more picky on. Not up to my standards necessarily, at least with these environments. The city of Paris itself looks kind of small. It looks a bit bland. I think I like where they're trying to go with it. They obviously have some more centralized commercial districts in the center of the city with those copper roofs, and then as you go out, it's more poor and more rural. But the terrain itself seems very flat. I know France has definitely some flatter parts towards the north, but I don't know. I'm kind of divided on it. I like that there's a lot of different city names, city variation. You have Rouen, you have Creil, you have Amiens, you have Arras, and Saint-Quentin. And then I think I pronounced that right. And then you can see there's even a little developer note, Dunkirk Fix POS. So very early build, but I think I like the colors here. I think I like the idea, but it definitely could use some improvisation. Just general improvements, but there is some train routes you can see here going from Paris to Rouen. So interesting to see that. Also, we have some new details too. There is some natural wonders and some man-made wonders. You have Machu Picchu here in the province of Ica, Peru, and then it's even displaying French relations with Peru. And they are playing as France and just viewing everything. But I love the model of Machu Picchu. It doesn't look too dated, and you can definitely see the terraced slopes. The devs were paying attention to Incan architecture when they went ahead and tried to recreate Machu Picchu. And then the altitude and the variation here definitely looks a lot better than what we see with the Parisian or the French countryside there. So, in some of the urban areas, but the elevation looks very, very good. The river's cutting through the jagged mountain peaks here as well, looking fabulous. And they also display some of the arid terrain too that the Peruvian mountains feature. So near the Amazon, it's a lot more lusher. Near the coast, like with Huancayo, it is definitely a lot more arid and remote. So great to see that elevation, really, really adding dynamic flavor. We also see some of the different classes here. We have Petit Bourgeois, Catholic Church, Industrialist, Armed Forces, and then Intelligentsia. I think Intelligentsia is the highest class here, but you also have different relations depending, I think, on what kind of bills and laws you're passing. You even have some relations with the Catholic Church, which is seeming to be its own class. So it's going to be fun to interact, I guess, with individual religious institutions, especially for Muslim nations too, depending on how fervent their population is towards their religion. I don't know if that'll be a mechanic in of itself or yet to see that, but there is definitely some interactivity among the religious factions here. We also have an example of a Russian market, Mazovia, one of the more rural markets in the Kingdom of Russia. They have zero infrastructure. Their infrastructure usage is 34, and they have 0% market access. They have a very low GDP. They have very low taxation, and their expenses, I don't think, are too much, though I need to see something for reference. They have a ton of population, 1.97 million. Not sure if it's just in this territory or if it's accounting for other territories, but obviously you'd want to improve the amenities here, possibly build some infrastructure, and I think these are modifiers over to the side right here. So it looks like they have some buildings. I don't know what it classifies as infrastructure here. So yeah, it's a bit weird there, but they might still be working on it. And then it is, of course, an isolated state region. It might be somewhere out near the Urals. So interesting there. Now, one thing that they definitely improved upon, I mean, just look at this. The mountains and the arid terrain seem to be their strong suit, which is kind of funny considering Sweden is a more forested region. So I think the developers would at least have some experience with that, and Europe. But apparently not, because the desert seems to be done much better. You can see there's a lot more bleaker colors. It's still somewhat vibrant because of that darker tone, but the mountains are very much alive. You can see the clouds adding some contrast to the desert, and I'm by no means an art expert, but just loving to see the contrast that the river kind of brings to the Nile. You can definitely tell it's a major feature of the region. There's going to be a ton of population clustered around there, probably the only parts of population clustered in Egypt aside from like Alexandria, but really, really great to see that they have no problems with the desert, since that is going to be a huge part of the map with Sub-Sahara, and players are going to be interacting with a lot of these regions since they do contain a lot of oil and other natural strategic resources. So really great to see that they at least mastered some of their desert sculpting, though some of you guys might not like that, but I'm definitely impressed by it. And Anatolia also looks fairly promising. It's just the northern European section that is kind of bland, though. Maybe that's the same for real life. But as you can see, even with Italy, their cities are very detailed. You can see Napoli and Salerno, very, very detailed. There's even ports. And you can see some individual streets, too, if you just zoom in enough. And then there is a verdant countryside, very lush compared to France. France is just very flat. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is with France, but just very, very bland. I don't know if it's the city design itself, but it's not doing it for me. Though I think Italy is a bit more improved here. You can even see Rome up there with the Vatican. So people that want to go for a Risorgimento, I think, if it hasn't been done yet by the start time, it'll be interesting to see how they have some conflicts with Rome, and whether or not they're able to resolve that. Now, next we have cultural differences. They're using some similar designs from CK3. I definitely recognize some of those facial structures. And you're comparing basically two of the countries here. You have the Ottoman Empire, which is Catholic. Ottoman Empire is not Catholic. They're Sunni. But the French Empire, or the French Republic, which is Catholic. The government here is an absolute monarchy. And then France is probably a revolutionary republic. And then you have apparently the Misri culture. I thought it would be a Turkish culture. That's their primary culture. But France is definitely a much stronger player. They are a world power, I think, evident by their little wings around the icon there. They have a lot more troops. They're just overall a lot stronger than the Ottoman Empire. They have a lot higher literacy. Their standard of living is a lot better. And just overall, Looks like France has a lot more potential than the Ottoman Empire, but great to see there's at least some difference, though the facial models are a bit off. The Turkish one in particular, he kind of looks like a caveman. I don't mean to make that, that to come off as like some kind of racist connotation, but it looks very weird. I don't know if it's the beard or if it's the facial textures itself, but this guy over here, he looks a bit better. Though he just looks, the Ottoman one or the Turkish man, he looks very rugged, so I don't know who they're basing this off of, but it almost looks like a cartoon. But this one, his mustache is very impressive here. So we also have the map. I do like the map. It is a bit more colorful than Victoria 2, but they're still sticking to their roots. The colors here are very vivid, very distinct, and you definitely won't have a problem kind of sorting throughout the different territories, recognizing individual countries. Loving the color they used for Brazil. Very, very vibrant green. One of my favorites. They even made a change here compared to Victoria 2. They're referring to China as Great Qing. Not sure what inspired that translation, but they are using that, which I guess is very fitting because it looks like they've occupied all of Eastern Asia, including Korea, except for Japan, which is kind of the lone guy out there. Spain has obviously had some kind of possession over the Philippines, and then looks like the Netherlands are slowly colonizing Indonesia. So if you want to do a Southeast Asian civ, you are going to have a bit of competition, especially with all of these European powers kind of surrounding you. Madagascar, interestingly enough, is a lone island out here, so it seems like they have their own nation at the start, though they will have some interesting interactions with Portugal as well as Brazil, because I don't think they have established independence just yet. I think that was around, I don't know, maybe they did. I think they established independence around 1830. I'm not too certain on that, but they have a similar color to Portugal, and I don't see any kind of independent name for them because vassals retain the same color as their parent country. So, yeah, they might just be a colony now, but it looks like Argentina, particularly, is not Rio de la Plata. It has become much larger, and you can even see there are some native tribes around here, the Guarani, and then seems like they've decided to name the Mapuche the Patagonia, which is more of just a reference to the region itself and not the actual tribes that inhabited that place. Then you have the Piratini. I think that's a playable tribe. And then Paraguay, that is not a playable tribe, though it is an underdeveloped country, I think. You have Chile, you have Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador. Ecuador could be interesting with all of the neighboring countries here. And then it looks like there's some kind of republic here. I think there's a specific name for it, but it's some kind of Guadalupan Federation. And looks like you have Cuba there too under Spanish control. So overall, some very interesting start conditions. I probably would want to try out Greece first, just to see their relation with the Ottomans and trying to carve out some kind of republic for myself. But the map, again, very, very beautiful. You can see all of these different countries, leaving a ton of possibilities for different interactions and whatnot. But the Red Sea kind of looks kind of thick here. I don't know. Anyhow, a lot of different interactions. I'm kind of bummed that you can't play some of the underdeveloped nations, but I guess that's just how it'll work. They'll probably release some kind of DLC modeling that in the future, though I don't want to speculate too much. But that is just a little taste of the art we have here in Victoria 3. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. And leave a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed the art as much as I did. But if you want to see more videos like this, of course, let me know in the comments as well. And this has been 4 Extraordinaire. I almost said Civ Extraordinaire, but this has been 4 Extraordinaire. And I hope to see you guys later. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.